Will Smith. He was saying if your goal is to build a wall, sometimes you can get so overwhelmed, like, oh my gosh, a wall, it seems like such a great feat. Instead of thinking about the wall, every day place a brick. You know, eventually, when you've placed 1 brick, 2 bricks, it's gonna turn into a wall. So just do one thing towards your goal every single day, and then you will get there. Welcome to Going Through It with Kenechi and Natalie. This is a podcast where we get real. This is not your regular Instagram highlight reel. We get down and dirty here and share our innermost feelings in hopes of helping you out there not feel alone in the struggle of life. So we're going through it to get through it. You might notice Natalie is not here today, but as you guys know, since April, Natalie has been going through some stuff and we decided it would be best for her to take a little break and focus on her mental health. But she will be back for season 2. Today, I have some lovely guest co-hosts today, my dear friend Clinay and her best friend Ashley.
Hello there.
And I'm hoping Ashley and I could develop our own relationship.
You will.
So yeah. So Clinay, actually, I met her the same time I met my husband Sean in Spain.
Hey.
Right?
Oh, right.
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy. That was almost 10 years ago.
2010.
Yeah.
In Madrid. And, you know, we were one of 3 Black girls there. And, you know, Black people, we do that. Oh, you Black too? What's up, girl?
Nah.
Yeah. So that's how we linked up. And how did you guys meet?
We went to high school together.
Yeah. And we passed by each other way back.
Yeah. So it was a chemistry class for me. I would always, every time she'd come in, she had these big ass sunglasses on.
It's class.
And a top button and her Letterman jacket, like ready for tennis all the time.
Cool kid.
And it was just like,
But the thing,
I'm like, what's wrong?
I didn't like to be bothered.
She didn't like to be. She had the look on her face like,
I didn't want to be bothered.
don't fuck with me. And I'm just like,
Don't say nothing.
what's going on with her?
I get that. That's how we are in
I
New
didn't want to be
York.
bothered. I'm just out here in my
So
jacket.
you reached out to her?
No. We didn't even introduce ourselves to one another. We just showed up. With the mutual friends.
We
just showed up.
No, we didn't. So we were walking down one of the hallways. It was with Shanisha. And somehow or another, she ended up constantly at my house. Like, I'm just so like...
Okay, so let's break that down. Everybody used to talk about Clinay's mom being like, you know, the child whisperer and whatnot. So she had a friend who was crashing there at the house, and I used to follow her because I had nothing else to do. And then I just talked to Clinay's mom and everything. We'd be sitting there eating hot wing sandwiches. And Clinay come home and she look at me and I look at her.
Like, what are you doing here?
What's up? And Clinay would go upstairs. And I'll be right on the couch with mom. It's like, so.
Yeah.
So you actually became friends with her mom
Yeah.
before?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, today...
Don't let strangers in your house. Hide your moms. Lock your doors.
And the rest is history.
The rest is history.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So we're all gonna feel
She just found out about this. She's like, what? Wait, that's not the typical
right.
situation.
I don't know.
Not the typical friend story.
But it's a story, all right?
It is.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
So let's get into today's episode. We are going to be talking about unmasking fear. And even just saying those words right now, I'm clammy, guys. This topic, I have severe anxiety about it, okay? This one,
are all moist.
She
In a
was
bad
nervous. She was sitting in that chair. She was sitting in that chair for about 10 minutes. Like, I'm sweating, y'all.
I'm checking my ear.
Wait a minute.
But the reason why is because this is such an important thing for her. There's a reason why you feel this way.
Like,
this is your life.
It needs to come out.
These last 2 episodes, I've just been really putting myself out there. Oh my gosh.
It's gonna be good.
I lost my train of
One of the things that occur with fear.
Anyway, we're gonna be talking about fear, how it affects us, how we manage it, and guys, like
it's a big deal,
right?
And the ironic thing about this is just yesterday, my husband was having a serious life talk to me about how he thinks fear holds me back, which is very accurate. So, as you were saying, things come full circle to be doing an episode today on that. I'm still just like, but I'm gonna try my hardest to just be as real as I can with you guys. So let's start. What does fear mean to you guys?
Oh, should I?
I'll go.
No, go. Let her go.
No, you go. Go ahead.
I gotta go?
Yeah.
You see, right now everyone is
we're all nervous. I'm sitting here like I don't even know what I'm gonna say.
Wait, oh my gosh, how rude of me. Please, Clinay, tell us a little bit about yourself.
A little bit about myself. Okay.
I'm black.
I'm black. So a little bit about me. I moved up here into the Bay Area back in 2009 because I wanted a change for my life. So I ended up going to UC Berkeley, graduated from there with sociology, then attended pre-med. And my big fear was trying to get into medical school. And so I think that was a fear that. Yeah, so it was like something that I was super confident in. Anyway, it's a tangent. But major in sociology. Right now, currently what I'm doing is I work in education, and I am also a coach at Speed Power Strength in Oakland. And one fear that I want to face and accomplish is going back to medical school.
Nice.
Oh, that's good.
Please share your Instagram handle.
Oh, my Instagram is Clinay is Living Proof.
And if you guys are in the Bay Area and would love for her to train you guys, do check her out.
She'll get you a chest and everything.
A chest. Okay, yeah, and I specialize in strength. I don't know what they're talking about. I'm a strength specialist.
Isn't that not training?
Yes.
Okay.
Corporate wellness coach and instructor. And yeah. So anyway.
Yeah.
That girl.
Right.
Your turn.
She said that so just like I don't even know how to follow. Maybe I should have went first because she's just like, this is mine. This is what I do.
Come on.
I was gonna go here. Okay. So I actually just moved up here in January to the Bay Area, more specifically Oakland, with Clinay, my best friend / sister over here.
Mm-hmm.
And but before then I was in corporate America off and on. Not really sure what I wanted to do. I knew what I had a passion for, but I think my overall fear was the fear of success as well as the fear of failure. So I stayed on a hamster wheel because I didn't want to fail nor succeed because, those were uncharted territories.
You just talked to my soul right there.
Yeah.
Like,
you felt that release
being safe.
Right. So being safe because I didn't want to be dangerous. So that was my fear. Or it's starting to kind of loosen now that I'm up here. But right now I work for a mental health outpatient facility for community psychiatry. It's really, really great. I love it. Different personalities every day, which is why I'm the way I am now. And I am also an aspiring podcaster / radio personality type. I'm doing this with my hands because I'm nervous. I'm not Italian. I'm just nervous. And you can follow me on, I don't even know what my Instagram handle name is because I'm so damn nervous. So this is what I'm going to do. I don't even care. I'm going to look it up.
Pull it up.
Let us all pull up our Instagrams together. Turn with me now.
Okay,
like we in service.
Maria.
Good Tea _ project. Okay, it's gonna be a picture of me and my grandfather.
It's gone through some changes. So
sorry, I know that was like a lot. It has. I've been through a lot. We're gonna get into all that. Anyway.
And if you would like to follow the Going Through It podcast on Instagram, follow Going Through _it. And don't forget, if you have any suggestions, questions, or comments, you can email us at ask@goingthroughitpodcast.com. So, what does fear mean to you guys?
Ooh. Fear, definitely, kind of like the hamster wheel thing that I was talking about. I feel like fear really just kind of keeps you in that little rotating prison where you think you're going somewhere, but you're not really going anywhere. You're just kind of like burning a lot of energy, staying stagnant. And that's the best way I can describe it for myself. So, I don't know.
The way I define fear, I don't like to use the term fear, but it's more so overthinking or constantly worrying about what ifs as opposed to actually taking one step at a time. I feel that I find myself doing that a lot where I'm not necessarily scared, but I constantly think and write down and plan and rewrite.
Never actually make
and I
move.
never make the step. So that is a big definition of fear. And someone I just spoke to earlier today was just like, you could spend all your time thinking about what you're gonna do and nothing
if you
will
never
happen.
Yep.
So that is a big thing for fear for me.
You just described it so well that I don't think I need to, because I completely relate to that. That is my life. Forever planning and overthinking, but not acting on it. That is fear to me. Okay. And how does it affect you guys?
It's affected me in so many ways, good and bad, but there have been so many ways where I feel like I have thought myself out of a situation, thought myself out of an opportunity because I wasn't sure if I was meant to be there, or I wasn't sure if I was meant. So when you start, because somebody, and what the thing that stood out to me most, and this was only like a couple years ago, was I walked into an interview for like this big job opportunity. And this guy was so excited. He was bragging about everybody to me on the panel and everything like that. And then I asked one question that insinuated doubt and fear, and their excitement dropped because I revealed the fact that I was fearful and I wasn't like.
If you're not confident within yourself, what's going to make him confident
about it? Exactly. And so it's just like kind of learning from that and not like revealing that, not faking it till you make it. You can address those concerns, but work through it and just know that, okay, I'm nervous, but not necessarily doubting the fact that I'm not capable of doing it. So, and that goes in different ways. So just like kind of just like learning from that experience, because thinking yourself out of those things.
I love what you said about not sure if you're like qualified to be there or should be there. I think that's a huge deal. Huge deal, because we can have all these talents and everything, and you're in your natural element. You could be with your friends or your family, and you feel like now
there.
We just had a conversation getting food about fear, just kind of having a little dialogue, but getting on camera, it's a whole different world. And it's like, why are we even sweating the way we are and getting nervous? It's because there's still an uncertainty. Should we be doing this? Is this going to be good enough?
Yeah.
So I love that Clinay said that, because that is an everyday struggle.
I have two different relationships with fear. When I was younger, growing up, there are a lot of things people said that I could never do or I could never be. And I always wanted to, my fear was proving them right. So I used fear to fuel that. And I was on top of my class a lot. I traveled, I did things, and that was fear. So my fear was proving people right. So I used it to fuel every single thing that I did. For the longest, in Trinidad, you take an exam where you have to pass for a high school. And there was this not so good high school in the area, and people would always tell me, like, that's the school you're gonna pass for. I'm like, you watch and you see. And, I aced the exam and I did not end up in that school. And that's just been my life, just proving people wrong. The fear of just making people just be right.
Giving them the
satisfaction. But after battling illness and everything like that, the fear was just being, if I'm honest. For a while, it was like, if I go back into corporate America, am I going to get sick again? When you feel like death has been on your door, corporate America. I'm not, yes, I'm getting a check, but is that really what I want to do with my life? Knowing that time is limited. You know, you really, really feel it. And now it's held me back from, it's at the point where I'm so scared I can't even make a decision in any direction. I don't even know if this is making sense right now, but what I'm just trying to say, it holds me back from everything in life. Yeah. Like sometimes I think I overthink so much, I just get tired from thinking. I haven't done anything physically, but just from thinking, I'm just like, I'm done with the day.
Your mind is a huge muscle.
You know, so that is my biggest struggle with fear, is not letting it run me.
And it's like you find yourself second guessing.
All the time.
All the time.
And everything.
And you waste so much time. You're laying in the, dead.
And by the time you get the courage to say, like, you know what, F fear, I'm just going to do whatever, the opportunity could have passed you by already. Yeah. We were just talking about a lot of things that I've missed out on because I'm just...
You didn't miss out on it. You haven't acted on it yet.
Yes.
It's just a little delayed. You know? If it's yours, it's yours, right?
Just a little nudge.
Yeah, right.
And I would say I used to be a very, very outgoing person. Bubbly, like to be around people. I'm not like that anymore. I stay to myself. I stay in my own little corner. And it's the fear of people being like, what are you doing with yourself? It's not that I think that they're judging me. It's that I have such high expectations for myself and I'm not there. So I automatically assume these people are going to hold me to the same standards I'm holding myself to. So I just don't even want to be around them because I don't want to deal with facing the fact that I'm not where I said or I think that I should be, if that makes sense.
Yes, makes complete sense.
No, that's completely real because, everybody thinks differently. Everybody sees different things inside you, and I feel like that's what makes us all beautiful, is that we can come together and just say, hey, you know what? It is something about you need to get, and you're looking like, wait, I need to wait?
Yeah.
Like, I ain't never done that before. Like, well, why me? I'm not qualified, but that fear will hold you back. It can. And we have to stop letting the fear have the satisfaction of keeping us in this place. And we should try, like, the worst thing that can happen is that someone says no or doesn't.
And rejection isn't so bad. It's not. You have to, in order to win, you have to get no's. You have to, right? If you're just avoiding any negative feedback at all, you're not going to get anywhere because those no's provide lessons for you to become an even better person or just even figure out if that's what you want to be doing with your life. So if you're not getting no, sorry.
No, you're good. No, keep going. Because I just love that you said feedback.
Yeah.
And that's also another thing too, is changing your perspective and what we call things like how Clinay said, I don't like to call it fear. That's important too, because now you're starting to kind of break that stigma. Like it's not necessarily constructive criticism, but it's feedback so that I can do better. And with feedback, you can learn. And if your mind is open to learning, you can do anything.
And I often think like, why can't I use it as fuel again? Like, okay, this person told me no, let me prove them wrong. Like I used to feel like I needed to do. You know, why has it crippled me now? But I try to focus on the fact that Oprah said, if you ever find yourself in a room, you belong there. So if I'm in a room of all CEOs and I feel inadequate, or anything like that, you belong there. Instead of thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm not like these people, try to learn from them, try to network with them, see what you could gain from that experience, instead of focusing on the fact that you think that you're not on their level. Because you could get there, you know?
You're there for a reason.
Exactly. So, like you brought up earlier,
I'm sorry. We just ate. We gonna be all the way transparent. I'm full. Okay, I don't discriminate against food. I'm full and I'm very healthy and a little right.
Yes.
And
5 Guys.
So if you know that if we're a little extra goofy, please just roll with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was looking you dead in your face again, like, what you gonna say? What's up?
So earlier, while we were in 5 Guys, you were asking, is fear really fear or is it an excuse? And I want you to elaborate
Yes. So over time, I started asking myself what I call hard questions. And those that know me, I bring up this a lot. And we were talking about what we wanted to talk about tonight. And that just was one of the questions that came up. Is fear really fear, or is fear masked as an excuse? And the reason why I say that is because I had a conversation with my parents about wanting to travel. And every time I bring up travel, they always come back me with, oh, do you know what's going on in that area? Or you shouldn't go down there because of this, this, and that. And there used to be a point in time where they dreamed of traveling. And because they never, I don't want to say never, but because they didn't prioritize their means or whatever the case may be, it seemed, this is just my assumption, but it seemed that it was easier to turn their disappointment into a fear. So that it was almost kind of like an excuse.
It's easier to handle a fear than disappointment.
Exactly.
That's oh my gosh.
So,
wait. I just had a yeah. Because your fear of getting a no is that you don't want the rejection, the disappointment of getting the no.
Exactly.
Right? So you'd rather live in that fear, and that's the excuse for, you know what, I'm just whatever. You make excuses
instead of saying you're scared, and that's okay. And that's okay too, but we have to really ask ourselves the hard questions, and I will say that all the time. You have to ask yourself what is the fear?
And why? And
the reason why and where I got that from was from Clinay. Because in December, I came up to
some gems.
Yeah. Clinay is like, she's like the gatekeeper. Like, she gonna stand there looking like Idris, with the sword.
Gatekeeper?
Idris was the gatekeeper. Well, a gate opener, but she had a sword, right? And I said, Clinay, I said, well, what do you think the problem is? Because I was going through a lot of different trials, and it was a lot of change coming my way. Mm-hmm. And she would often ask me, like, well, why don't you move up to Oakland? This, and that. And I said, well, what do you think the problem is? How come I haven't moved up here? She backed up, but I just think you're scared. I was like, oh. But it's like the way it was so direct. It just cut me.
But in a way that holds you accountable, calls you out.
She called me out. She pulled all my cards. Like, we were outside, and I would have had a seat. But in my spirit, I sat down. I was like, well, damn. Mm-hmm. She was right. And then that's what kind of added to me asking myself hard questions like, well, why am I afraid? Mm-hmm. And at that point, I thought I had lost everything. Mm-hmm. And then Mom, my first best friend before I met Clinay, before we became friends. Mom was telling me, if you're going to struggle there, you can struggle anywhere. So everything was just right on time. Mm-hmm. So I said, you know what? Why not? Yeah, it's expensive, but hey, at this point, I have nothing else to lose.
And that's the perfect thing. Starting over might be, although you seem like you've lost it all, it's easier because you're starting fresh. Whereas if you had everything together, then you're losing a lot more.
Yes, exactly. So going back to what you were saying, sometimes those no's or the rejection or what, it's all feedback. Mm-hmm. Sometimes God provides a way, or the universe, however you want to look at it.
Not only that, sometimes you get that no because better is out there for you.
I'm a clap.
She cute. I love that. I totally agree. I think what's really good is the fact that, like, since we are addressing this thing, like, I feel like it would be good to kind of touch on what we're doing currently and, like, what are the two things that we're, like, facing. So, like, for example, myself, how do I say this? We were talking about this earlier. We were just, like, talking about the things that we fear most. Like, we fear getting sucked into or losing out on. And so the thing that I fear getting sucked into is a typical 9 to 5, because I'm a firm believer in the entrepreneurial route, and kind of creating your own path, because I've tried, like there have been years and years where I would try really hard to delve into the typical 9 to 5 or
the mold
or the safety net or what have you. And it's very difficult. I've gotten several no's. I've gotten a lot of rejection. I've gotten told, we're afraid you're going to get bored, or you're overqualified, or...
That's the worst.
Yeah. And so that's the thing that constantly... I'm like, maybe there's a reason that this is happening constantly, you know? And so... but at the same token, I don't feel like I've ever been built to be the typical 9 to 5. Like, I worked corporate for about 6 months, and I ended up blowing up like a house. I was 230, 240 pounds. I gained 30, 40 pounds within 6 months.
I remember that time, and I remember telling you, it's not worth your health. Life is too short to be unhappy.
Exactly.
Because I was coming off of quitting mine, and I was like, girl, run.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So, so that's my thing. Is just nothing against it, nothing wrong with it.
It's just not for everyone.
It's not for everybody. And then my fear, so that was my fear, or has been, or is my fear, is getting sucked into stability, quote unquote. And so, because at the end of the day, if you die today or tomorrow, you're gonna be replaced. And are you gonna be?
That's what I tell my friends.
Yeah.
They'll have a few flowers, a moment of silence for you, but life carries on.
Yeah. And so, and it's just I don't have anything against it. And I know that when you're an entrepreneur, you're going to work way more than a typical 9 to 5.
But then it's your stuff.
But it's your stuff. And I feel like when you kind of find that happy medium of finding balance between what you're passionate about and what keeps you going versus what pays the bills, I think that makes it a whirlwind of a difference. So I feel like it's important to figure out what it is that fuels you, as opposed, and then also when you do decide what path you want to go into, are you going to let fear get in the way?
I can completely relate to that, because that is my fear. I was actually talking to my mom and saying maybe I should go back into corporate America, because I'm overthinking it now. You need to work a certain amount of years to have pension. Do I want to be, if the creative route doesn't work out and I have to go back into the workforce, the regular typical job later on, am I going to be 70 and worrying about a paycheck? It's a lot more stability and more of a safety net in corporate America than chasing other things. And what I struggle with, I don't think there's a job in corporate America that I actually can be passionate about. So even before I got sick and whatever, and I wanted to be in corporate America, my end goal was always to own my own businesses. I just wanted that check to fund those dreams, and I had to realize there's multiple paths to get to that end goal. It doesn't just have to be this one way. But I'm kind of am I making the wrong decision? Making
the wrong decision with what?
With everything. With not going in corporate America, with chasing the creative. So I'm kind of in the middle where I'm not giving anything my all. Because I'm okay, if I give this creative thing my everything and it doesn't work out, then I would have made the wrong decision. But if I go back in corporate America and I hate my life and I give that my all, then I miss out on just feeling fulfilled every day, And yes, my end goal has nothing to do with what I'm going to do with making money, but I still want to enjoy it. And I still have to think about kids and helping family and having a legacy and all of these things. So I feel like if I'm in a blender right now, just being tossed around, what do I do? What do I do?
But why do you feel like you have to choose?
Right. You can choose both. Yeah.
Because maybe you can, what you're doing now, have your own platform where you define that. Don't be so caught up on what you're going to not have, but just just try it.
Yeah.
Just either way. I mean, you're
find
doing
part-time corporate.
Yeah. Ooh. That's something.
and then, because there's so many things, like if you think about it, like there's BuzzFeed. Like I remember running into Jasmine and everything like that.
I thought of BuzzFeed, but
no, I'm just saying it as an example.
Oh, okay.
Like, you know, she's doing her own thing on the side, and she's doing corporate. Like, and it goes well. It goes hand in hand. So it's just like, it's not to say that I don't think that there isn't anything possible. It's just a matter of searching and seeing what's out there. Because if you want a taste of corporate, you want that pension, you want that insurance, blah 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 blah, you can find those things. It's just a matter of like.
Yeah, I know, but am I?
Are you what?
Gonna be sad?
Are you gonna be satisfied?
Yeah, because it's different now. I feel like my life should have a purpose. I should be doing something that's worthwhile.
Your life does have a purpose, though.
Yes,
true. And it's not based on the title that you don't have right now. You shouldn't base your life or purpose on the fact that you don't have a title right now.
That's true.
It's a matter of finding what it is that you're passionate about. What did I say the other day? You getting paid for to do what you love.
But that's what I'm saying.
To be exactly who you are.
You get paid to be exactly who you are. I feel like there is a job. I'm going to claim it. There is something out there.
There is, but what I'm most passionate about, I don't want to make money from.
Okay.
So that has always been my thing. Okay. I need to make money, and preferably doing something that I love. Mm-hmm. But what is that? You know? I like a lot of creative things, and I thoroughly enjoy this. But is this the safe way? Is this going to...
But what happens if you do make money from it? Or what's the reason why you don't? Not saying it's going to be a driver, but what happens if money comes? I mean, you can't help if someone sends you a check to assist and help you with keeping this going and pouring into folks.
Oh, well, I'll give you guys an example of what I want to do. So I want to open up schools in developing countries, and give impoverished kids a chance to travel, because I think traveling did so much for me. Awesome. And it's sad that only people that are well off, or families that find it important, because I'm not from a well off family, but my family I'm just saying.
Right, I'm just looking like, ooh, hello.
You know? I said I wanted to do it, and they made it happen. Not everyone has that luxury, and I really think when you leave your bubble, I see the difference in people all the time. The people that never leave their town, never do anything, and are exposed to the same people, they have a very different mentality than people that are exposed to different cultures, personalities, and I just want to afford them that chance. So that's not something that I want to make money off of, but you need money to do these things. And yes, you could have investors and all of these things, but to get it from the ground off, I need to fund that myself.
Yeah, or it can generate an asset that will pay for that liability. Not liability, but that will pay for that.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I can do so many things that's going to get me to that point where I'm able to do that. But what is it that I'm going to be happiest doing? And I think maybe that's the problem. I just don't know what that is.
Right. We'll talk about that later. It's another topic later. We'll touch on that. Next time. We're going to table that. Message. That's going to be, yeah. No, yeah. We're going to have to touch on that off the camera.
Question to you guys. Yeah. Well, let's start with Ashley. Okay. Who holds you accountable in your life?
Ooh,
when it comes to fear.
When it comes to fear, well, definitely Clinay snatched me up.
Yeah, she just tried to snatch me up too. Like, she's a snatcher.
Why don't she just be snatching up folks and everything like that? Like, okay. At a very early age, my grandfather. Okay. So my grandfather and I, we were real tough. We still are. But we used to go camping all the time. And a lot of things that I didn't learn at home, he taught me.
Oh, nice.
You know, so we would take road trips. And it would just be everything from, you know, how to speak to folks and say hello, good morning, to how to determine if you need to change your oil or not. And he would ask me different things to do. He would invest his time in me and then kind of challenge me to make sure that everything was sticking. And then if I didn't come through or do whatever, he would hold me accountable. But the reason why I was receptive of his me holding me accountable was because we had a relationship established, and I feel like that was the key for me, or just anybody, is that you have to have a relationship and an understanding to where sometimes it's not going to feel the best, you know, when you get chin checked, but you may need that. I'd rather for Clinay to tell me about myself, or someone who is close to me that I've established a relationship with to tell me about myself than a stranger. Because that stranger may not have the capacity to change my life or impact my life the way she does. And I feel like that's really, really important, because people like Clinay and my grandfather, those are the type of people that the enemy does not want you to continue building relationships, which is why you have to be intentional about those relationships. You have to push past, you know, the attitudes and the friction that comes, because all that
which is natural,
stuff, which is natural. It's just like, okay, yes, you get on my nerves, but I love you, and we got to get this done. What we gonna do? And you just keep going.
Yeah.
So
I get that.
What do you think, Nay?
Man, people who hold me accountable. I feel like I try to reflect on different aspects of my life. So there are different people for my life, as far as like when it comes to relationships and friendships and everything like that, and like just kind of being more mindful of being present, because I find myself like kind of getting to a point where I can kind of isolate myself, because I'm so wrapped up in the idea of like, okay, I need to get this done, and you know, not fuck everybody else, but it's just like sometimes you have that mentality, because it's just like
I need to focus on
I need to get this done, because I'm constantly in survival mode. So when it comes to accountability with those relationships, because I'm like, I can't do this by myself. So I feel like Ashley has like, this is a whole nother topic, but Ashley is definitely holding me accountable when it comes to addressing like relationships and friendships, and like kind of being present. And so that's one. Ashley is one huge person. My mom, for sure, is very good at being like holding me accountable.
That's best friend right there.
Holding me accountable to you know, being myself, not allowing myself to succumb to what people think is right or think is okay or is acceptable.
Think you should be.
Like, right, think you should be. And other mentors and everything like that. And I feel like those are important to have, like, not a whole lot of people, but a handful of solid people that you trust and want to build with and grow with. And you know for a fact that they're not going to turn their back on you. And so regardless of what you're feeling. So I feel like that's why I was really grateful for you, Kenechi, because I was just like, man, I knew she was solid. Because you was just like, you know, because it's just, it's rare. It's rare to find people that are willing to hold you accountable and also be willing to take accountability or receive it. And so I think that's important.
For me, I would say I have people that, like you, for example, if I tell you something, definitely you will call me out on it. But because I struggle to open up,
snatching folks,
right?
Snatching folks, don't just snatch us. She'll snatch your chest.
Yeah, but because I struggle to open up, it's usually a stranger. I don't know why it's easier for me to confide in a stranger. Well, actually, I do know why. I feel like sometimes I'm that type of friend that people go to and expect to be the strong one. And if I know you're going through something yourself, I don't want to burden you with my problems. So yes, I understand friendships and relationships in general are a two-way street. I just don't want to put that on them or have them worry about me or anything like that. So I keep it to myself. And a stranger, I don't know what's going on in their life, so it's no guilt.
And you're not going to see them again.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
So the latest person who really, well, actually, like I told you guys last night, my husband definitely called me out on my BS. But the last person who really, really, truly impacted me was my dermatologist.
Hey.
You know, she just had a live talk and she said, if you have these fears, be very careful about what you're afraid of because they might manifest themselves into a reality. People usually talk about putting positive things into the universe, but you can put negativity into the universe too. And it actually realizes, you know? So, I'm just thinking about the conversation she had and how she was just like, girl, ain't nobody gonna feel sorry for you. Do this, do that, you know? And I think I really, really needed that. And I was able to receive it because it's also objective. You know, she doesn't know me, really. She just knows what I told her and was able to just call me out on my stuff. Sometimes if your family or maybe the approach of your loved ones, they're going to be a lot gentler with you because they love you. And I think harshness sometimes wakes me up a little bit.
Tough love.
Yeah. So it's usually a stranger.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. I have a question.
Oh gosh.
What are 3 fears, or not even fears, but 3 challenges that you aim to move past? We're like almost exactly halfway through the year. 3 challenges you aim to move past and conquer.
Yes, I'm sweating.
That's what I'm just like, dang it. Right, just
conquer for this year.
I can start off with the shallow thing first, which
shallow.
is shallow. Learning to swim. So we're not talking about that, but that's a big thing because, you know, I almost drowned.
Oh.
And
wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I like how you just...
Right, we just kind of blew past that. You almost drowned.
Yeah, so I was always fearless. I never learned how to swim in the water or anything like that, but I could float on my belly, and I love the water. And growing up on an island, you go to the beach often. So I went on this excursion with my sister's friend's family, and I used to have this habit of going up to, like, the water would be up to my neck, and I can't swim. And this random guy, to this day, I don't know who the hell he was, just swam under the water, held my legs, and flipped me over. And because I was already, like, up to my neck, when he flipped me, I went...
Underneath.
Yeah. And I couldn't, like, I just remember tumbling. You see your whole life. And ever since then, I've been, like, really, really scared. I wouldn't even, for a long time, Sean has worked with me, put my toe in the water. Especially if people were around. What?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so that was traumatizing. But I still consider that a shallow fear because I can get over that, you know? Are we going to get deep right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Going through it, keeping it all the way through.
Okay, so one of the fears I told my dermatologist, I'm not able to enjoy everything I'm surrounded by because it's not from my own success. And my fear is getting used to a life or a lifestyle that I can't provide. I'm gonna cry.
That you can't provide.
I can't provide for myself, or like,
No, it's okay. This is good.
Woo! I'm hot from inside now, like from within. Yeah.
Okay.
So, of not being able to be independent and just do everything I want on my own. Oof. Another thing that really... Sorry.
It's okay.
Guys, I'm really hot. I need a break.
You want a little water?
Yes.
Yes. We're going to have some water. This is, oh my gosh. I love it though. I love it. Because you're saying it out loud.
Which I don't tell any, like, I keep it all bottled in.
So you guys are, this is an honor.
Okay, another big thing is, I always saw myself being like this badass, no matter what. Owning my business, like I said, just picture badass. And I feel as though I'm in a relationship with someone who's a badass, and it's, my other fear is not being equally yoked.
Wow.
That, the only person I told was Natalie, and she thinks it sounds crazy, but for me, it's very important to feel as though we're equally yoked and we're both bringing a lot to the table. So I struggle with that.
You are a badass, though. Like, I'm not no homo, but I mean, you are. No, I'm just saying, like, because, like, I just see, like, just looking at the imagery that you put out, the content you put out, like, your whole demeanor, your whole being screams badass. It's just, you need to be ready for that. And if you weren't, your husband wouldn't be.
That's what he says.
And so, but I'm just saying, like, and it's just like, but you need to believe that. You need to praise yourself. Like,
like we were talking about,
because of the fact that just because you don't have the titles or the zeros that show it, it doesn't mean that you aren't. It's you need like I said, you've been given.
But I feel like that's how the world validates.
No,
things,
that's how the
maybe
world.
I shouldn't care.
The world validates. How do you validate yourself?
Yeah, and it just stems from when people see us together a lot. They always wonder, like, oh, how'd she end up with him? And I've had people ask me, like, oh, he must be making this. Oh, it must. And it's literally, I met him when it was not even, you know? And I think I just I don't want people to prove people right. Like, I don't, I want to be able to say, well, girl, no, I got this. You know what I'm saying?
But that's not your job to sit here and move through life, not even being able to be present and enjoy what you do.
I really can't. I can't.
You have to, you know what? Fire them.
Yeah.
You're going to have to fire whatever this image that someone else had or the world had created of you, and what you may assume that they think of you or where you should be. Be present and keep being a badass by doing everything that you're doing. You have to let, at this point, you're so valuable, like, you need to let that go, because now there's a whole different image of you that is
waiting
boiling.
to be. That's waiting.
But it's just kind of like, oh, what, you keep bringing. I'm not there. We're not in that lane, Kenechi. Oh, we're okay.
We're trying to get to the next highway. We're trying to cross the junction.
Right. But girl, look at the. It's okay. So you know what I'm saying? You're gonna have to fire that.
Yeah,
that
and I know
image.
it's just me, because I meet dope people all the time. There've been people like, you want to come out to lunch with me, and they're like this big whatever, and I'm like, girl, no, I can't.
It's just
what can I talk to you about? What can I offer you? Like, you can help me, you can impact knowledge on me, but what can I do for you? Kind of thing.
Your concerns, your fears. How can I help you? Just ask that question. I think we talked about that. What can I do to help you? How can I be an asset for you? And also, like...
And then sometimes people don't even want anything from you. They
just
don't
want to
be around you.
They just want to give.
And help you out.
Thank you.
So it's just like... And another thing is, too, like what you were just saying, like, earlier, if you're in a room, if you're placed in a room, you're meant to be there.
Exactly.
So it's just like, it doesn't matter. Like I said before, like, if you're like saying, why did you choose me? Why are you questioning
why not
what
me
you're
should
meant,
be the question.
Why are you questioning what's meant to happen?
You know what? I think that's where corporate America, or just corporate anything, has us really jaded. Because when it comes to those who are natural creatives, as a creative, you just go with what feels right and you express yourself. And we may not necessarily have a full, we may have a why, which we talked about, but we don't know where we're going to turn. We don't know how it's going to develop and incorporate, you know, they want the forecasting, they want the history, you know, they want the references and the resources and the facts and the guarantees and the contracts. You don't have to do, you're going to have to separate the two. But at the same time, you can plan, but don't worry about what others need. Just meet them where they're at. Meet them where they're at. Like,
because I honestly feel like you're saying all this stuff about the whole badass thing and all that stuff. It's like almost being handed to you. It's almost being like the things that you're like you want and you think are gonna define what makes you a badass. You're already there.
Yeah.
They're just like, here, take. I just want to see if you're gonna just take this, so you can
act on it.
And I just want to see if you're gonna act on this and move forward and progress in your badassery. You know
that's
what I'm saying?
The difference.
So like
knowing and doing it is just
yeah.
something
So
different.
I don't know. I'm just saying though, like, just come on.
Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah. It's a reason. It is.
See, Clinay, holding me accountable, calling me on my stuff. So you asked for 3 things. My third one, I'm just going to just say it out so I don't get emotional. Having lived a life and not leaving my mark in the world. Not from a very young age. I always knew my purpose was to help people. I used to tell my mom, like, oh, why can't we just build a house and put homeless people in there and teach them to read and write so that they can work on their own, you know? I didn't know what rehabilitation was, the word and all of that, but that's what I wanted to do. So if I don't accomplish things for myself and get to that place, then I feel like it sounds silly, I'm going to say it, but there would have been no purpose to my life. Because that's what I'm meant to do, I feel like.
Okay, and that's fine. Why does that sound silly?
Because, I mean, just your life has a purpose regardless of what you accomplish or not. It could just be you were the friend that helped someone else get through something. You know, it's multiple purposes to life. You don't just have one thing. You know.
That is true. That is very true.
Well, anyway, this was just...
Me and you're sweating.
You picked me apart.
My bad. Not really.
So final.
And then gonna look off into the distance.
Right. Okay. Final thoughts. So, what have you gotten out of this conversation, and what are your final takes on fear? Any one of you can start. Really.
I'm like super excited for you.
For me,
I'm excited for everyone who's sitting here, like because I feel like I addressed one of my 3 fears, and I think I'm gonna do that in short, like a really quick 2 sentences. Is just applying to that school and finding out the paths for that, and I feel like it's just continuing to hold people accountable. The fear of, and then also addressing the fear of overthinking, just acting on things.
overthinking is a bitch.
I know it's important. So it's just like I'm really grateful that we had this conversation. Like, you know, I'm glad that we all had a chance to talk to each other. And I'm like, I am looking forward to the relationship that we're going to continue to build. Moving forward.
Me too.
Yeah. So that's really all I have to say.
That's good. I'm excited. Nervous. I know I didn't really talk about my fears, but
Really quickly, what are your fears?
Well, I know the biggest one is the fear of not having time. Like, I feel like I got a really late start in a lot of things that I'm doing, and I'm trying to fire that image, but also just more so the self-care aspect of life. You know, I feel like I'm now being pulled in so many different directions that I'm excited about, but I'm also noticing at the same breath that there are things happening in my life that are kind of starting to fall by the wayside. So it's finding balance, but also trying to make sure that I don't lose out on these opportunities. So it's kind of like, you know, I've lost out on opportunities before, and this happened, and then I didn't pay attention to my health before, and this happened. So that's one of my biggest fears. Not having time and setting certain boundaries that are not going to rub people the right way.
I don't think like you should feel like you had a late start to life, because that's how I feel, but it's all relative. Like the world makes you think, and you probably feel like, oh, I'm going up against all these younger people. And
yes.
No. This, by the way, this is not what life is supposed to be like. This capitalist mentality, like this is not, it's a lot of stress, unnecessary stress that society has placed on us, okay? We're supposed to be cultivating and farming and, yes.
Living. I agree. Living, exactly. Yeah. Leaving legacies and stuff. And, you know, we have to get outside of our own head and just do what we say we want to do. Just be happy. Yeah. And don't let fear, really, I really do challenge everybody to ask themselves those hard questions, even those little fears or the things that trip us up. Like, where is that coming from?
The thing that you're thinking about, but you will never say out loud, that you avoid. Like, once it comes to the forefront, you push it back.
You're like, nope.
Nope. Mm-hmm. And that's why I feel like it's important to have an accountability partner or accountability group of people, because like you said, you harbor on those thoughts on your own, nothing is going to come of it. But once you
sometimes
speak it into
you
existence,
can't pull yourself out of it.
Right.
You need someone.
Right. And once you speak it out loud and say it out loud in front of somebody, oh, it's real now.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do about it? You know, and that's where I feel like that's important, because, like, you know, we can easily isolate ourselves, but that is an easy way to lose time.
It is. And then if something happens, you're going to regret having isolated yourself, you know?
Exactly.
What I've learned, I don't know. I just feel better having gotten it out. You know, like I said, it's only one person that I've told those fears to. I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for you guys. I'm grateful for this conversation. And I'm going to just try to be brave. You know, something that was really inspiring for me was Will Smith. He was saying, if your goal is to build a wall, sometimes you can get so overwhelmed, like, oh my gosh, a wall, it seems like such a great feat. Instead of thinking about the wall, every day place a brick. You know, eventually, when you've placed 1 brick, 2 bricks, it's gonna turn into a wall. So just do one thing towards your goal every single day, and then you will get there. And I'm like, that's what I need to do with my fear. Like, overcome it little by little, and eventually I'll be a flower that has bloomed.
There you go.
You know? Oh my God. So I just want to say thank you guys so much for coming today and being my co-host, Clinay and Ashley. You guys don't even know what this conversation has done for me. It's been a lot that have just been in here, you know, bottled up, and even the little bit that I talked about it.
We're believing in a part 2, maybe.
Yeah,
I feel like there's like a part 2 recap situation, but
where we're talking about like since this episode, what have we done?
Thank you for having us. Of course. You know, thank you, Clinay, for your dope connections, and just because Clinay, she's like the networking queen. You know what I'm saying? She's gonna be in the gym. She's gonna be in your face. Accountability partner number 1, right here. And then Kenechi is dope. You know, just even seeing her go through, you know, you going through the changes of like, oh my God, I have to talk about this, but you push through. That's an accomplishment. Awesome. Like, that's amazing.
It might seem a lot to you guys, but just know that was hard for me. But thank you guys for listening to this episode. We hope that you gained just something from it. We would love to hear your feedback. Don't forget to like and comment. You know, every little feedback on iTunes, it does a lot for us, guys. And if you have any suggestions, don't forget you can email us at ask@goingthroughitpodcast.com. You can find Clinay at
Clinay's Living Proof.
And
Good T_project. I'm sure. Look, y'all need to find me.
so that was fair. Thank you for going through it with Kenechi and Natalie. Come back next week to see what else we're going through. Until next time, take care. Bye.
Toodaloo.